Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online class on living healthy with diabetes and prediabetes. My name is Claudia, and I'm here with my colleagues Karina and Radhika. We're all registered dietitians with the Credit Valley Family Health Team Diabetes Management Program, and I'll give them a second to say hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
So we hope that you'll find this webinar today useful. We'll be sharing a few different tools to help you improve your lifestyle. So let's get started. One question that we would like to address before we start is the question whether people with diabetes should eat a special diabetes diet. And actually, the answer is false, because there's not a specific diet for people with diabetes or prediabetes, but it's rather about healthy eating, so that's good news. We know that healthy living begins with healthy eating, and the other good news is that healthy eating can help prevent many chronic diseases, not only diabetes, but also cardiovascular disease. And it's also a component of aging well, and it can help improve your mood and energy, to name a few benefits. So let's explore some ideas around how you can prioritize healthy eating and commit to your personal health. So today we're going to be talking about three components of healthy eating, which is what, how much, and when to eat. We'll also be giving you tips on how to read food labels so you don't have to spend so much time at the supermarket reading labels. And we'll give you tips on and talk about why physical activity is so important. And finally, we'll talk about setting goals and how you can make them work for yourself. So in this first section, we're going to be talking about what to eat. And we'll be discussing the food groups, also the importance of fiber and the glycemic index. So this is the Diabetes Food Guide. It's a colorful nutrition education tool, and it describes the food groups, and it tells you where carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are found in food, all of which are important nutrients for the body. Understanding what nutrients are found in which food group will help with meal planning, which we'll be talking about later on. So looking at this image, you can see 6 food groups, which are the vegetables, the grains and starches, the fruits, the milk and alternatives, the meat and alternatives, and the fats and oils. And notice that the outer food groups from the left are high in fiber, and these are plant foods. The 3 middle ones are sources of carbohydrate. Also notice that the milk and alternatives, as well as the meat and alternatives, are both sources of protein as well as fats. And let's not forget our other food group though, which we call as well entertainment foods. These are highly processed foods, but we like them as entertainment sometimes, and that's okay. But these can be high sources of added sugars as well as sodium, saturated, and trans fats that can be harmful to us if we do have them frequently. So we can enjoy these some of the time and in smaller portions. The other food group also contains sweetened beverages, and we know that there's so many of these on the market, and they can contain a lot of sugar. So this doesn't come naturally, doesn't come in nature, and our bodies are not well equipped to handle these. So think twice before you drink these. Also keep in mind that the healthiest beverage is water. And if you like some flavor to this, think of adding some berries, lemon, cucumber, mint, or ginger to your water. Just some ideas if it helps you enjoy it more. Another hint when reading these food labels is that knowing that 1 teaspoon of sugar is equivalent to 4 grams of sugar. Now, Karina or Radhika, have you been surprised by, have your clients been surprised by any of these beverages in terms of their sugar content?
Yes, actually with orange juice, there is a lot of surprises because on the label it says natural sugar or natural juice and no added sugar. So that's a surprise for a lot of our patients.
Yes, thank you, Karina. That's so true. Even though there's no added sugars, we could still that it contains a lot of natural sugars. And for that reason, we recommend that you eat your fruit rather than drink it. And of course, it is important to have your fruit, and 3 fruit a day spread out throughout the day is reasonable. So the other question that we would like to address is whether natural sugars like maple syrup, honey, or agave syrup raises your blood sugar. And actually, you know, many people tell us that they've replaced their sugar with honey or brown sugar, and unfortunately we have to tell them that it has the same effect on their blood glucose. So the answer is false. But what about sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and stevia, you might ask yourself. They're widely used in diet drinks and beverages, and they don't raise your blood glucose. But for more information about these different sugars and sweeteners, as they are many, you can find more information on this on the Diabetes Canada website. So which foods contain carbohydrates? Wholesome foods that contain carbohydrates are an essential part of our diet, as they contain many nutrients that our bodies need. Keep in mind that carbohydrates are also the primary source of fuel for our brain and nervous system. So far we have mentioned that 4 food groups contain carbohydrates. So these are grains and starches. For these, please note that starchy root vegetables like potatoes, sweet potato, and cassava, as well as corn, belong in this food group as well, and not in the vegetable group. Fruits. Now, one thing to note is that dry fruit also falls into this category. However, some products have added sugar, and companies do this to assist in the drying process. So we recommend reading food labels and selecting those with no added sugars. And it's also helpful to note that a serving of dried fruit is only a quarter of a cup. So portion control can help with blood sugar control. And we'll be talking more about that later. Also, there's the milk and alternatives food group. The carbohydrates that they contain is lactose. It does affect our blood sugar. Lower fat dairy options are a good snack option, as they are also good sources of protein. But note that cheese has been placed in the meat and alternatives food group because the lactose has been almost completely removed and does not affect our blood sugar. So which foods are not rich in carbohydrates? So vegetables don't affect our blood glucose except for the starchy vegetables, that many of them being root vegetables, like I mentioned in the previous slide. And there's the fats and oils food group. Note that nuts have good fats and are also high in protein, and this can be placed in the meat and alternatives or the fats food group. This is a heart-healthy food, but we recommend limiting it to a quarter of a cup per day, as they are high in calories if eaten in large amounts. Avocados also have healthy fats, and that's the main macronutrient that they have. So they fall in the fats and oils food group. This can also be calorie dense, so share your avocado with someone. Now there's the meat and alternatives food group, and this is rich in protein. Choose from vegetarian proteins, fish, and lean meats most often. Legumes like lentils, beans, chickpeas are very rich in protein, so the Diabetes Food Guide has them under the meat and alternatives food group. But they do contain carbohydrates that are very slow-acting carbohydrates, and that's a good thing. That brings us to the next part of our talk, which knowing that not all carbohydrates are created equal. So there are 3 types of carbohydrates, and they are the simple sugars, starch, and fiber. So the simple sugars come in the form of glucose, maltose, sucrose, lactose, and many of them, when you read the food label, end in O's. They are 1 to 2 molecules in length, so they are digested quite quickly in comparison to the second category of carbohydrates, which is starch, which is a much larger molecule. And so it does take longer to digest, but when digested, it gets into the bloodstream as glucose. Now there's an important difference with the third carbohydrate that we call fiber, As you can see, they're present in plant foods, as you can see on the picture. But they don't increase blood glucose. It's a very large molecule actually that does not get digested. So actually it slows down digestion and it makes you feel full. So it's helpful in weight management. And as you might know, it also promotes healthy bowels. And there's more research lately indicating that foods that are high in fiber are the food for healthy gut bacteria, which can have a part in our immune system, in our metabolism in good ways. And also, last but not least, fiber can help reduce cholesterol.
Thank you so much, Claudia. That was very nice. And I am going to start off where Claudia left. So let's talk about how insulin helps reduce our blood sugars. So here you can see in the picture, your apple, let's say you're eating an apple. So what happens is it contains natural simple sugars that enter your bloodstream slowly to get digested. So it digests very slowly in comparison to apple juice, which breaks down into sugar more quickly. So here, if you see in this picture, you have the pancreas secretes the hormone insulin, which is the key that brings the glucose into your cells to make energy. People with diabetes produce less insulin or have insulin resistance, which is when that insulin key does not open the door to your cells to let glucose in. If we eat balanced meals, include fiber in our diet, the digestion process is slowed down and can help the body to catch up with producing the insulin that it needs. So this brings us to the glycemic index, which is recommended by the Diabetes Canada. And people with diabetes should choose lower glycemic index foods more often to help control blood sugar. The GI is a scale out of 100 that ranks a carbohydrate containing food or drink by how much it raises your blood sugar levels after it has been eaten. Here we are comparing the same amount of food. Example, one slice of white bread versus one slice of whole grain bread. The curves, the red and the yellow, indicate by how much a food or drink containing carbohydrate raises blood sugar levels after it has been eaten or drunk. So foods with high GI, such as white bread, increase blood sugar levels higher and faster than foods with a low GI, such as a whole grain bread. So next, going on to the glycemic index of some common foods. This tool is available in the Diabetes Canada website. And let's take an example of rice. You can find rice in all three types, all three categories. And the type of rice you would choose makes a difference. For instance, instead of choosing jasmine rice, you could try and choose basmati rice or brown rice or converted rice or parboiled rice. Now, the next thing is we have seen what is it that you have to eat, but it's also important to look at how much to eat. So we will be looking at the plate model and the handy portion guide. So all these resources are available in the Diabetes Canada website. And what you need to do is you need to be aware of how much you eat. So can you think of any foods that are really healthy and good for you, but if you eat too much of them, they can increase your blood glucose levels, weight, and waist size? So like we saw earlier, example, if you switched from white rice or parboiled rice, but you don't watch portions, it can impact your blood sugars and weight. So watching out for portions, whatever rice you choose, is very important. So next, if you want to know how to portion control, there are two plates that's available. The colorful plate on your left is the Canada's Food Guide, and it is a good tool for healthy eating and to help plan your portions the following way. Fill half your plate with vegetables and fruits. People with diabetes should choose more vegetables than fruit because most vegetables have less sugar. Divide the other half of your plate between protein and whole grain foods. Another way of looking at the plate model is this plate from the Diabetes Canada website on your right. And this is similar to the Canada's food guide, but the only thing is that vegetables at the meal are more emphasized than fruit. If you have a larger appetite, you can add a glass of milk. You can add a glass of milk and a fruit to this plate. Otherwise, you can spread your fruit consumption throughout the day and include them as snacks. We'll talk about the snacks later. So some tips for building your plate are: try to choose a variety of vegetables through the week, as different colored vegetables have different nutrients. Starchy root vegetables such as potato, corn, cassava belong in the grains and starches portion of the plate. For the grains and starches section, you can choose the lower GI foods more often, as we've discussed. As for the protein part of the plate, you can see that fish, lean meats, as well as legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas belong in this area. Try to have legumes in the diet a few times a week, as well as fish, and as these foods are notably good and part of a heart-healthy diet. So breakfast ideas with the plate model are, there are two ideas here, and you can use the Eat Well plate as a guide for your breakfast. It can be very creative. You can try having a sliced apple on top of toast with peanut butter, adding lots of vegetables to a frittata or breakfast sandwich, filling half your bowl of oatmeal with berries and chopped fruit, making a vegetable omelette with side of fruit and half a whole grain bagel. You can see the examples on this slide have a starch, a protein, and vegetables and fruits. And our dietitian Claudia has kindly shared her picture of breakfast that you can see here. And she's also offered a visit to her place post-COVID, so which we're looking forward to. Is that right, Claudia?
Sounds good. The more the merrier.
Thank you. And here you can find the recipes from South Asia. This could be your lunch. You can take you can see that quarter of your plate is rice, and the fish takes up a quarter of your plate, and you have half a plate of vegetables. You can also add some fruit and yogurt on the side if you're still hungry. Everyone's needs are different. If you feel that you could work on your portions, it is worthwhile to reflect on the size of your plate. The average size of the American dinner plate has increased 25% over the last century, from 9 inches to 12 inches. We overeat sometimes when food is delicious and tend to finish all there is on our plate. So using a smaller plate if needed is one way to help you avoid overeating. As I said, everyone is different. And in this picture, if this is too much food, you could leave your fruit and yogurt for a snack. And when you look at, there's another very interesting way of looking at portion control. So aside from the plate model. So when planning a meal, you can use the following portion sizes as a guide. For example, your fist can be a guide for your grains and starches and fruits. Choose an amount, the size of your fist for grains or starches or fruit as one serving in one meal. And when it comes to vegetables, you want to use both your hands. Choose as much as you can hold in both your hands. And always try to have brightly colored vegetables, green, yellow beans, broccoli, etc. And when it comes to meat and alternates, you want to choose an amount the size of your palm, thickness of your little finger. And when it comes to fat, you can have to limit it to an amount the size of the tip of your finger. And drink milk. 1 cup of milk is considered as 1 serving, but try and choose low-fat milk options. When it comes to cheese, we all like our cheese. The serving size would be 1.5 ounce or 2 thumbs size. So these are some interesting ways of portion control. And I will think that when the next thing that we look at is when to eat. So when we talk about when to eat, there are some guidelines and these also some healthy snack options. So you will have to ask yourself some questions. When do I eat? Do I skip my meals? And these are some questions that you have to ask yourself. And when you talk about eating guidelines, eat your meals distributed evenly throughout the day, which can help manage your blood sugar levels. In other words, it can be helpful to eat a similar amount of carbohydrate each meal. So here are some guidelines to keep in mind. Eat 3 meals per day. Focus on eating at regular meal times. Space meals no more than 4 to 6 hours apart. You may benefit from a healthy snack if meals are spaced more than 6 hours apart. Now, why is it important to eat at a regular interval? So here in the image. It's important that you should not leave long gaps during the day because it could cause your sugars to go up and down. Why could our sugars go up and down? You may know that the liver puts glucose into our bloodstream when we need it, such as when we haven't eaten in a long time. However, people with diabetes can have an overactive liver and can give you more sugar, more glucose than you need, thereby increasing your blood sugar. So one way to control this is to have a little something to eat if you haven't eaten in a long time or in the last 6 hours. Sometimes this helps and it's worth trying. The liver can also be overactive at night. If your blood sugars are high in the morning and you tend to have very early dinners, you could try to have a small snack before bed and see if it helps with your blood sugars in the morning. Watch your portions and the quality of your snack. And in some cases, we can't control this through lifestyle, and this is when medications can help out. So here are some healthy snack options. So snacks can play an important role when you have a meal spacing is longer than 6 hours. And it can also be an important part to plan if you have diabetes. But how many snacks should you have each day and what should you snack on? Here is a list of healthy snack combinations. Choose a protein and a carbohydrate option for a balanced snack. And then you will ask yourself, do I need to eat snacks? You are more likely to need snacks throughout the day if you eat your meals longer than 4 to 6 hours apart and or eat small meals. Take certain medications and exercise. Here are some examples of combinations. Banana, apple, pear, or orange with 1/4 cup of unsalted peanuts, 2 cups of home-popped unsalted plain popcorn with roasted soya nuts, steamed edamame with 1 fresh orange. Now I'm going to hand it over to Karina to take over. She will be talking about label reading.
Thank you, Radhika and Claudia, for all this good information. So I'm going to talk about reading nutrition labels. We've looked at how much to eat, what to eat, and when to eat. How about packaged foods? This is when label reading is very important. What is a food label? Food labels are found on packaged foods to help you make informed food choices. They provide the following information: the nutrition facts table and the ingredients list. What to look for in a label. The nutrition fact table tells you what 1 serving is. In this image, you can see that 1 cup or 250 milliliters is 1 serving. You can also find how many calories are there. And in this example, there is 110 calories. And you can also find the different nutrients. Health Canada mandates listing 13 nutrients in all food labels as listed in this example. The percentage values help you compare labels and make better choices. What is the percentage daily value? The percentage daily value is found on the right-hand side of the nutrients fact table, and it is a guide to help you make informed choices. It shows you if the serving size has a little or a lot of a nutrient. So in other words, 5% of the daily value or less means it's a little of that nutrient. 15% of the daily value or more, it means it has a lot of that nutrient. What is the ingredients list? It is the list of ingredients listed in a food by weight. And this begins with the ingredients list that weighs the most to the ingredients that weighs the least. So let's move on to physical activity. And in this section, I'm going to talk about the guidelines and also the benefits. On this slide, you can see all the benefits of keeping active. And for some of you, it might be the reason why you keep motivated. The important takeaway message is that every form of physical activity counts when it comes to keep active. In this slide, we can see some people will do this to improve blood glucose control, sleeping better, healthier heart, or feeling better for more energy, or just help to manage their weight, or simply having fun. There are some basic recommendations or guidelines that you should keep in mind. For aerobic exercise, we recommend 150 minutes per week or 30 minutes 5 times a week. Aerobic exercise improves your cardiorespiratory system. Currently, you can think about what exercises you are doing. On the other hand, we can also recommend to add resistance exercise 3 times a week. Resistance exercise improves your muscular strength. And again, think about some resistance exercise that you do. If you wonder about how to get started, ask yourself, how much activity are you typically getting? Is it enough? What benefits is important to you? And what activities do you enjoy? Are there any challenges that prevents you from keeping active? Making some lifestyle changes is probably on your to-do list to improve your diabetes management and to keep your blood sugars within your target range. However, change, whether big or small, is often hard to make and can be even harder to sustain. One solution: set goals for yourself and outline the steps you'll take to achieve them. For the best chance at success, experts say, make your goals SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Start by thinking about what matters most to you. Your diabetes goals and priorities should match. For instance, you might want to be more active to better control your diabetes, but also to keep up with your children or grandchildren. The more invested you are in achieving your goals, the more likely you'll get there. An example of a goal that is too vague, it would be something like, I want to exercise more. A better way of setting a goal would be, in the SMART way, it will be saying, I will start to walk 10 minutes every day for the next 2 weeks. Remember that you can work with your diabetes teams to learn the best strategies to achieve your personal goals. To summarize, have 3 balanced meals and balanced snacks when needed. Watch your portions. Eat healthy carbohydrates. As we mentioned, go for the low glycemic index foods. Choose more often high fiber choices, and remember to add them slowly to make sure that your body adjusts to it. Eat more whole foods and less processed foods. And let water be your beverage of choice. And for added cardiovascular benefit, have fatty fish at least twice a week. Have a variety of nuts daily. Just make sure to limit to 1/4 cup per day. Enjoy beans, lentils, chickpeas, soy as a protein source and at least 3 times a week. And select leaner meats and low-fat dairy. Read labels and be physically active. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope that information was valuable to you. If you have any other questions about a healthy lifestyle and diabetes, please visit the Diabetes Canada website or discuss with your diabetes team. Bye, everyone.